Welcome to the Speedway Chat Show hosted by Jerry Sims and Wilbur Hancock. We would like to say a massive thank you to all our partners that make the show possible. Make sure you like, comment, and share our videos. It helps get Speedway in front of more people. It's really easy to find our podcast. Just say, "Hey Alexa, play Speedway Chat Show podcast." Enjoy, buckle up, and get ready for an awesome ride.
Hey guys, it's Wednesday afternoon again, and we have another Speedway Chat Show. How are you, Wilbur? You good?
I'm doing great. I just told Jerry that we're actually having some rain now, and he said, it's been lovely and sunny here today. So I said, oh, how ironic then.
Yeah, well, it's a bit of payback, isn't it?
Not really, because tomorrow we're probably going to have 70 degrees and sunshine. I'll be down at the beach, getting tan on.
Yes, okay, let's not talk about that. So anyway, if you could like, comments, shares, all the rest of it, get in the comments. We've got Rory Schlein on the show tonight. We're going to talk to him. It's his final season in England this year, so we want to talk to him about that, what he's up to afterwards, and let's find out if there's any chance of a British Grand Prix wildcard, because he is technically British champion. So before we go anywhere, though, I need to say a massive thank you to all of those people at the start of the show there. This week has been massive. I've been speaking to Richard Cotton from Wren Truck. I spoke to Grant Henderson Tankers up in Scotland. GM Engines, Ashley Holloway from Ashtec. Andy Smith gave us a load of products last week for the bike giveaway. This bike's into the thousands of pounds now that we're giving away, and it's all down to those people that have helped out there. And obviously, our big help, he's here week in, week out, helping us out, is Ian Jordan from SP2A Speedway. So I want to say a massive thanks to him as well. So, Wilbur, you got anything you want to say before we go live?
I think major signing, Dylan Rummel for Plymouth Gladiators. I mean, that's massive. Another American over there. I don't know if we touched topic on that last week, but yeah, that's quite cool to see that they're out there and they're finally, there's more American riders going over there for the season. I mean, we have Brock Nickel, and then next week's guest, actually Luke Becker, is actually over there as well. So it's going to be cool. It's going to be interesting to see if it's going to be hard to get over from Poland to England, or England to Poland, vice versa. So it might be a problem for them. Who knows? It's so up in the air right now, and I've seen that they just started practicing over in Denmark and Poland as well. It's going to be an interesting season, if I say so myself.
Yeah, and Wilbur just touched on that. Yeah, so next week we have got Luke Becker on the show. That's him and Wilbur there. There's a good relationship between Wilbur and Luke. Wasn't he your Manny?
Yeah, he is the Manny. He's the Manny. We call him the Mexican Manny. So
cool.
Funny.
Right, let's get Mr. Schlein on the show. Do you want to give him the intro that he deserves, Wilbur?
The 2020 British Speedway champion. I don't know if he's British or Aussie. I don't even know at this point, but Mr. Rory Schlein.
All right, Roy, you good?
Yeah, good, mate. How are you boys?
Oh, we're great.
Yeah,
we're
all
great.
good. Yeah, all good. Yeah, so how's things for you? Are you ready for the season?
Slowly getting there, I guess. We haven't done a lot as in preparing, because we did a lot of that like for the last season with bikes and stuff like that. So the only thing we're really doing is we're going to send the engines over to Johnsy probably in a couple of weeks and just get them a bit of a freshen up. And there's not really a great deal to do to the bikes at all, really, because they were pretty much done and dusted and built up for last season. So, and obviously we only did, I think, the 3 meetings last year. So it's just more or less, mental approach, and hopefully the weather stays good, long enough to get some practices in just before the season starts.
Cool. And the engine's going to be clean, I take it, when you give it to Johnsy.
That old story, eh? Johnsy, I do that just to remind Johnsy to get his hands properly dirty outside in the cold. So, no, Johnsy knows it. There's sometimes when we can wash the engine, sometimes we can't, but he's all right, Johnsy. He cleans it for me.
Oh, we love Johnsy.
Cool. So, you're going to be at Poole this year and Wolverhampton? Yeah. Obviously, the change. We were originally going to be with Somerset, but obviously that didn't materialise. The opportunity arose where there was a spot at Poole, and I grabbed it with both hands. It was a pretty no-brainer, really, not to go there. You only had to look at the lineup, which was one of the main reasons why I chose to go to Poole. I had a couple of other options, but it's a pretty powerhouse top three, and the second strings and the reserves are an exciting prospect. So we look handy, especially all the way through. And Wolves is the same as well. We look even more solid from 1 to 7 as well. And I think we got especially people like Brock and Luke, who are going to be. I don't know how they're going to line up. But there's going to be that change, from reserve to second string, and I think that's going to be handy throughout the season.
Exactly, having someone a little bit more dependable, and both you could place them in reserve if you need them to. If the other team is going to have a stronger bottom end of a team, 6 and 7, and you can put your stronger riders in that area of your team, or if you need a higher 1 to 5, you can always put those guys up there as well.
Yeah, I think you look at majority of teams that go on to win the leagues, they've always got a high scoring reserve, and that's always, you can have some big hitters up top, but if you don't have that reserve that scores you that 8-10 points, home and away, that takes so much pressure off the other guys in the team. And I think they'll only help, whether it's Luke or Brock or Dougie or whatever, do drop down. What I mean is there's always going to be someone strong at reserve, and that takes pressure off Tom Bacon as well. So Tom can go and do his own thing and not have added pressure on him.
Exactly. And at the same time, if one of the guys in the 1 to 5 are not doing amazing, you always have those guys that you can put in.
Yeah, definitely.
Perfect. So, I mean, what do you got going planned right now? What's like before the season? I know you kind of touched you're not really doing much, but it's like, is it different? Do you feel if it's like it's less pressure? Do you feel like there's nothing to lose? What are you feeling?
No, it's different in a way because of COVID more than anything. Like, there's no gyms open. I'm normally in the gym, but I've only just started, sort of at a home program, which is different. I've never sort of done anything at home, so it's a little bit different on that side with the fitness. But I haven't gained too much weight since I've been sat on my bum in the office. So, but it's more my mental attitude and my mental approach to Speedway is the same as it was when I was 7 years old. When I put the helmet on, I want to win races, and that's not going to change this year.
Yeah, for sure.
True. What was I going to ask? I was going to ask something here. So, is there a farewell meeting?
Well, there was going to be one last year. So, ideally, yes, I'd like to put a meeting on if I can. It possibly won't be mid-season, which it was originally going to be. It'll probably be towards the end of the season. So I am working on a date, which I can't release just yet, because obviously we've got to wait for the government more or less to give a green light first. But definitely there'll be something in the pipeline, to run something towards the end of the season.
So was last year supposed to be your last season?
Yeah. Last year was supposed to be my last year. Obviously, everyone knows like COVID's, turned everyone's world upside down, so we had to delay it. A lot of things happen, obviously, with all the flights and stuff like that. my missus was halfway between getting her visa sorted, so they froze all the visa applications, so that more or less, stopped everything, all our plans. We'd enrolled the kids at school in Australia and everything to start in January, just gone. So all we've done is just delayed everything 12 months, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we come out of lockdown, go racing, and get through the season, and then we'll be heading home.
Oh, beautiful.
Have you got anything lined up for when you get home?
Not straight away. Nothing. No job or anything. It's sort of just going to be sort of starting from scratch, really. The missus, she's going to be the breadwinner for a while, being specialised in chemotherapy as a nurse. So she could be the bread maker for a while till I find my feet. But I have a couple of ideas and things I want to do when I get back there. But I think just for the time being, we'll just find something simple and not too hard on the back. The whole idea is, like Pete Adams told me, he said, "Oh, you got a few more years left in you," but it's not that. I've got enjoyment outside Speedway now, and that's sort of the thing I look forward to. This lockdown's been hard enough as it is, but I enjoy. I've got plans, to get myself a camping trailer and that back in Australia, and just go driving and camping all over Australia if I can.
Cool.
Perfect.
So, if there was a opportunity to get in that Cardiff Grand Prix, you're going to take it with both hands? And is there talks? Is there talks?
There's no talk. I don't know where that's going. There's no talks. The British final, there was no thing that said if you won this British final, you'd get next year's card. There's nothing that. If there was, I'm unaware of it. But if someone said, "Here you go," I'm not going to say no, am I?
No.
But
what a way to go out.
I think it'll go down like they did the previous year. Like there'll be the British final for this year, which will probably be for the Cardiff this year. So that is high.
But isn't the British final planned to be later in the year?
I was about to say that. I think the British final is actually after Cardiff this year. So it could be
for the suspected day for
Rory's coming into the wildcard spot, maybe.
Well, I've got to be honest, Jerry. I didn't know that, and now you got me thinking. I might have to make a call.
Wait, so what spot did Jason Crump finish?
He finished
third, didn't he?
Third. Jason Crump is a second reserve.
Why not?
Who was second?
Richard Lawson.
So he would be the second reserve, wouldn't he? First reserve. Yeah.
Richard Lawson would be first reserve.
Yeah.
Rory as wild card, and then Jason Crump. Jason Crump.
There we go.
What I would say is when Wilbur announced me, it never gets old when he says that. When he said 2020 British champion, but now it's just gotten better if he said Rory Schlein wildcard for 2021. I think
that's what I'm thinking.
Have you had a wild card on any of the GPs?
No, mate. No, never been lucky enough. Always felt I'm just missed the mark in qualifying quite a few times, but no, we come close.
Davey Watt did it in Melbourne a few years ago, didn't he? He retired and come back just to do the Grand Prix.
I think he did. Wasn't he a reserve though?
Was he? I think he was.
Right.
I don't think he was, because I think Masters did it most of the years.
He did get a ride.
Yeah, I believe he did.
Yeah, what he had a year where he was one of them the permanent reserves. Where he stepped in for, I don't know who got hurt, and he stepped in for 3 or 4 rounds or something like that. I know he got a run, a spell of 3 or 4 rounds, and actually did all right. He was never out of place there. But I think he did come back to be the reserve. I think for that one night there in Melbourne.
All right,
what a way to go on your farewell season.
Oh yeah,
Cardiff GP.
Might as well after that just say I'm done.
Yeah. Just drop the mic there and then go done. Especially if Johnson's done you a magic engine.
It could be a special. You never know. It could be a special.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Cool. What was you about to say, Wilbur?
What are you guys' thoughts on Oliver Bernson now coming into the GP series? Do you think this is going to be interesting? Do you think he's going to do something? Do you feel like he? What do you guys think?
I spent a little bit of time with Oliver a few years ago when he signed for Woods. He didn't get. I don't think he got too many rides. Great kid, and I think he's a guy has been a bit like Doyle. He's been a bit of a slow burner, and he's come on strong in the last couple of years. And I know he's a very, very fit young man. I know that.
He used to be a CrossFit. Like he had to cut weight for his races. Like he was way overweight because I mean CrossFit. What are they? They're weighing in at. He was like short, right? He's a short kid, but he was buff. You know.
Yeah.
He still is super fit. I mean, he goes crazy kilometer rides and stuff. I mean, it's.
I generally do think it'll be he'll be brilliant for the series because it's not your typical we always have these riders that seem to drop out one year and then come back and drop out, come back, and they never seem to. When they do come back, they never seem to get any better. It's like the Premiership football team, dropping down out of the Premiership and coming back. Them yo-yo teams. I think Oliver could be, a bit of a wild card, like where he could turn up, and take a couple of scalps. But I think it would be good for the series to have a few new faces. I think I remember talking. I don't know if it's you guys, but talking about there's no more characters in the Grand Prix anymore. Maybe that's what we need. We need some fresh faces in the Grand Prix, to see what other people are like, and hopefully, But I think he'll do it right. I think he's that kind of rider. He's similar to very small like Rowan. So I think he'll suit the places like Wroclaw and the bigger, wider tracks. So I think he'll
he's
he'll
fast.
be
He's faster on there.
and I think his kick's quick too. So one definitely to watch.
Yeah, for sure.
So we got one here. Monday the 16th of August is the British final for this year, and the Cardiff is July 17th.
I'll take your word for it.
Here, let me look it up right now.
Wilbur said he'll be in your pit crew.
Did? Yes, I did. I did.
Not a problem. Let's put it this way. I reckon my pit crew will probably be the same total as everyone else's pit crew all together if I ever got the nod.
Let me see here.
What about Robert Lambert? What's your thoughts on him?
17th of July.
I'll keep my phone. I'll keep my phone, ready. If it rings.
At the ready. Cool. So
always ready.
So you talked about Oliver. What about Robert Lambert?
Well, spent a lot of time with Robert when he first come into the Elite League Premiership for Kings Lynn. And I remember spending a bit of track time with him, some track days where it was just me and him, and worked on a few things. And I've been able to watch him mature. I think the big thing that I've noticed is not that his style was always good, because he was always compact with the bike and stuff. Always naturally talented, could ride anything, motocross bike. But the thing that I think that's made him progress a lot quicker in the last couple of years has been his maturity. The way I've seen him, think about things. His gating's obviously improved, but he's so much more mature on a bike now than what he was when I raced with him at Kings Lynn. And I think you can even hear that in his voice. He's matured in his voice, just being actually a man. And I think we've seen that last year. He more or less carried Ribnick. I know they got relegated, but he was just the man at that club.
I mean, he dropped like a stupid amount of points, like something. We were like, how many? You didn't even like lose a heat. He was flying.
Yeah, and he made that. And Ribnick can be quite difficult to get a good setup and be consistent at, but he seemed to be just dialed in there, and he has this ability similar to Smarslick. He's a rider that's able to use the fence and thinks about things as well. So he could be one of them guys who have a whoopee effect and could just come in and steamroll everyone. As long as the occasion doesn't get to him, as in like that he's at the top and he's there. He could have a woofy effect. He could just go in and steamroll the whole field. But, you know, he's got some pretty hard hitters there, but he has that ability and talent to do so.
What I thought was such a bummer was 2018, I believe, in Cardiff, where he was the wild card, and what he just went out there, you know, and like first heat threw a chain, second heat like just got his wheels going, and like the third or fourth heat, Cookie crashed straight in front of him, and he bent up his bike, I believe, and he had to go on a second bike. I mean, talk about bad luck, right?
Yeah, I was there for that. It was, you know, I think that was his first Grand. I think that was his first Grand Prix.
Yeah, I think it was the first one. Yeah.
Yeah. You never been in that situation, but you think you build yourself up to like the biggest meet of your career at that point, and it almost just all falls apart. You know, race by race by race, and it doesn't matter what you do, it just didn't get any better. But you know, them nights, I think, build character and they learn from it. You know, the guys that do make it, they're the kind of nights they learn more than they actually know. If you have a really good night, they're the nights that I think builds mental toughness and obviously, like I said, character as well.
Yeah.
We got a message here saying, "Get your hair cut, you big girl."
I believe I'm related to that person.
And this one as well.
Oh, yeah. They should all be asleep.
Why aren't they asleep?
I don't know.
Hey, what?
Brilliant.
That's funny.
I do like going on social media, and if anyone's saying anything remotely negative towards Rory, is your mum's there. She's on it. She doesn't mix her words. She says exactly how she feels.
No, she'll tell you. Like, there's no grey area there with old mum. She's black or white with her. So you want to have your facts right when you go after her.
Yeah.
He's working.
Your brother's working.
Don't believe him.
Don't believe him? Full of shit.
Yeah.
Okay, how about this? KK in the GP. Simon here believes it's a downer. He was in the GP for how many years? 3 before this? 3 or something like that?
He nearly won. He was second.
He was second, wasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my dad kind of.
Yeah, blew his candles out.
Oh.
No, but KK is the kind of rider who can go through the card and look the best rider in the world one night, and then the next night just not even lace the boots of like a National League rider. He's one of the most frustrating riders I've ever seen. Lots of talent, skill. He's got more engines, you know, than a bull can shit. You know, he's never had a lack of support or anything like that. It depends on what KK turns up, and I think everyone knows that. So just an unknown commodity with KK. I don't know what's going to. I think, like I was saying, he's one of these guys that seem to come in, go out, and has never really progressed and gone any further. You know, it might sound a bit, I'm knocking him, but you know, I rate him as a rider because, you know, he's second in the world. You know, races all in the top leagues, but it's like, you know, there's more there, and I don't think we see it enough.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
it's like
so his head's just not there, you reckon?
Whether it's his head or, you know, like the Polish riders and that mentality, you know, I think we see a different mentality with people like Smarslick now. It's very, very cool, very calm. You know, even when things doesn't seem to be going well, like Smarslick struggled at the beginning of last season in the league, but it was like once it got to the Grand Prix, he just turned up and he was another person. Like, he was getting into form, but he wasn't the best form rider leading into the series. But KK he's like that old school rider, you know, where, you know, must win, like loads and loads of pressure, and it either gets to him or it doesn't. And when it doesn't, you see the proper KK. Where, you know, you look back at, you know, like some of the big names in the past, Golub was one of them guys who could handle all that sort of pressure. And there hasn't been too many, but Smarslik seems to be another person like Golub who can handle all that pressure, stardom and all that sort of stuff. And still, even when the chips are down, he can pick himself up and get into some sort of form.
Yeah, you're right about that.
We can't even imagine what it's like for Smarslik, you know, like, I mean, it's bad enough being a speedway rider in Poland, let alone being twice world champion, being so young.
You end up with the Prime Minister, you know, coming around for a barbecue or something. I think he had the Prime Minister of Poland around to his house. You just think, well, it's not just, you know, the speedway world, you know, that's all of Poland, you know, because, you know, you have a lunch with the Prime Minister, that's just not, you know, the speedway world, that's the whole Polish fraternity, you know. So,
I was watching a video the other day, and they were talking about, because there's like big UFC fight this weekend with that Polish guy, Jan Blachowicz, I think his name is, and he's like one of second Polish champion in UFC ever. So he's interviewing him, and all of a sudden, Smarslik pops up on the TV. I'm just like, what? And they're having an interview, and then they start speaking to Smarslik. I'm like, what? How did you go from UFC, which is like a multi-million billion, probably, you know, dollar organization? You talk to Smarslik with the Speedway GP, who's, I mean, nothing compared to that. It's crazy.
You've obviously seen it, Wilbur, but Polish Speedway, I know fans have been there, but when you are in that sort of lifestyle and you know what it's like, you know, just to go and eat in the town centre can actually be hard. You know, I remember, you know, being told I couldn't go and have lunch in town for a club I rode for. No, you're not allowed to go into town where, you know, for security reasons. And I thought, you're having a laugh. I went into town and I literally got mobbed. And I was only in a restaurant. I couldn't get out. And that's just what it's like there. You know, I got barricaded into the change rooms at an under-21 qualifier at one stage because it was Robert Moscoviak won the round. I think it was a semi-final, and the fans invaded the track and they had to get us all off the truck and back into the change rooms to get all the people off the centre green. So it is crazy, but it's what makes Poland great, you know, and that's why everyone wants to race it.
It's nothing like watching a Torin and Grugins or a big derby. I mean,
Gorjov Salonagora.
Yes, that was trying to click in my head. Those are gnarly. They're crazy.
I went to the Torin. It was the Gdansk Torin when they were fighting to stay in the league a couple seasons ago. We went to that, and they were like throwing missiles and all sorts, and it was crazy. The Riot Police turned up, and they held the Torin fans in a little pen, and they wasn't allowed out of there until the Gdansk fans had all left and were nowhere near the stadium and things like that.
Crazy.
But the singing and chanting and going nuts, it was one hell of an experience to watch.
My first crack at the Extra League in Poland, I was racing in for Wrocław with Crumpy, and it was all new to me. Like, I'd ridden in the first division and stuff, and the Extra League was a different, obviously, kettle of fish. But I think I flew in with Crumpy, and we got picked up in Crumpy's van to drive. But we had to wait at a services to get a police escort into Gorzów, and this was just when Gorzów rebuilt the stadium, and it was when Thomas was there. And I said, "What are we doing?" He says, "Oh, we're waiting for a police escort into Gorzów," and the whole team was in a convoy going into Gorzów, and it was absolutely insane. My first race, Jason, Thomas, I think it was Michael Max. But prior to the actual race, fans jumped the fence and tried to get at me and Jason. And that's when all the boys with the shields and the SWAT boys had come out. And I've never, I was absolutely shitting my pants. I really was. I just never seen anything like it. So yeah,
you think you're all cool till you have the Polish mob coming at you.
Yeah. No. The first time I was in Torrent, I remember the massive like coach turning up with the Riot Police sort of like marching out of it, and they're all stood there with the shields and stuff like that. And I'm thinking, oh shit, is there like some sort of terrorist attack or something? Like I'm thinking there's like something serious going down, and they're like, no, this is just Polish Speedway. I'm like, oh,
yeah,
okay,
cool.
Of course it is.
It's that crazy there. They actually have firms. I don't know if you know that. They have firms. You know, like the football firms here that they used to have.
Yeah.
They actually have firms for Speedway.
So they'll go out fighting.
I didn't know about any of this. I thought it was bollocks. But
you're kidding.
I went into town. I'd gone into town for lunch, and I got sort of mobbed by these skinheads guys, you know, wanting photos and stuff like that. And I went back to my club at Grugins, and I was told by my boss, it says, you can't have photos with these people. They're banned from the state. These are the guys that cause trouble and fight. And I'm like, I didn't know. And then I actually found them on the internet, and it's full on firm versus firm, you know, with other speedway. I've never seen anything like it.
I went and watched Torrent versus Grugins, and that was, I mean, that's not even the biggest one, and that was crazy. I mean, we're like sitting there and watching the race. Heat 14, Torrent secured the win, and then the Grugins fans started trying to, because they have to separate them so that Torrent is on this side, Grugins on this side, because you can't go in between if you start interacting. So two people from the Torrent fans, like a little bit older people, not there to cause trouble, they just ended up sitting on the Grugin side. They started screaming and yelling at him. The Torrent guys start hopping over the track, running across the track, as well as the Grugins guys start running over the track. And we just get like pushed into the pits, I remember, because the pits is like under, like behind the track, kind of.
Yeah.
And it's like secured over there. So they made us go in a corner of like the pits area. And and we're like sitting, and the SWAT's like around us. I mean, it's just crazy. You're just like sitting there like, all right, this is going on. This is cool.
Yeah, unbelievable.
We got one here. Used to be like that in the UK in the 80s. Cov, Cradley, Wolves, Cradley. Fantastic atmosphere.
Yeah. I saw a video of my dad's first race in England when he was riding for Cradley against Wolves. I just hear him get booed. Just the whole, I was like, oh, cool.
Like in England, really, my first derby was, experience was Edinburgh versus Glasgow. You think, that's only, Premier League or the Championship. I'll tell you what, that got pretty hostile there quite a few times. In my years there, having run-ins with James Greaves and Banger Bentley, these guys at the time, I knew nothing of their reputation. And being a little cocky snort, from Australia, I didn't give two hoots, and I upset probably the hardest guys in the league that year. And and found out when I got poked on the end of the nose by Greavesy one day. So and obviously then expect with the derbies with Coventry and Wolves, they were pretty heated as well. I still remember races with Freddie, and they were probably some of my hardest races. Was with the Cobbs Wolves days, because there was just we were made known to how important that to win, because we used to have I think there was a Colin Pratt and CBS used to put on like some challenge meetings at the beginning of the year, but I know there were challenge meetings to just get laps in, but we were made to know that them meetings were important, and they were some tough races for sure.
Brilliant. Sharon Powell said, are you still working at Hermes, Rory, or have you stopped to get ready for the season?
No, still working. I think I clocked out at 4:00 today, so be back in there tomorrow at about 5:30 in the morning. So, no rest for the wicked.
Who'd be in your dream team, and what track would you ride that dream team?
Ooh, that was a good one.
I did this.
I don't like all this. What's your favourite track stuff? But I like that question.
No. I like this. I like this. The way he put it, though, that you have to decide what. Yeah.
If it was like, I think if to go on like what dream team, like my favorite track is Ostrov in Poland. But when I say a dream team, what track would be dream to have an ultimate team? I'd have to say Torren, because it is so. It's not. I know everyone likes going there, but you can make that place a fortress if you wanted to. But because of now the way they do the tracks in Poland, everyone enjoys riding there. But going off the top of my head, I'd say like people like Darcy, Thomas Golub. I'd probably throw people in there like Kenny Carter, Bruce Pennell, guys like that. It just, even Dennis Segalis, he used to be a guy I used to like, because he was a bit more flamboyant with his stuff and had a very unique starting style. So, I think it would have been nice to see them guys ride on some of the tracks that we have got now.
Imagine some of those guys on Wrocław or Manchester. I mean, all those guys when you'd watch them at the Coliseum and the long track, in Long Beach. I mean, they'd be flying. Imagine them on like this kind of a prep track nowadays.
Oh yeah.
But then also imagine seeing the riders of today riding at places like Wembley, the old Wembley.
Oh, imagine.
Wimbledon, all in places, yeah.
Even Long Beach here. I mean, that would have been insane.
Don't think I've seen that long track in that Long Beach. I'll have to YouTube that one.
It's a quarter mile. It was a cool track.
Yeah.
It was 82, I believe. World final, and then like 87 or 8, I believe it was the World Cup final.
Yeah.
Do you ever ride in America, Rory?
No, I actually, funnily enough, I came close to flying out there last year after I won the British final, where they had I think it was the American Open, was it, in New York?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was in talks with the promoter. And
Jason, right? Jason.
Yeah, and had almost booked flights to go. Everything was agreed, but I couldn't get at the time America. I couldn't get a COVID exemption to travel. Like I was trying to get a sportsman's exemption, like the tennis players had, the football players had, and I couldn't get one in time. So I came very, very close to doing that last year. So
that would have been interesting, dude. That track is it's small, grippy, and you have to ride just a random bike they have there.
Yeah. I think I was just taking an engine with me. I think the agreement was, and I was riding someone else's bike. So I was only doing it just because, I'd never raced in America, and I just thought, look, you're not doing it for the money. You're just going to go and do it for the experience. And shame it didn't come off, but I would have enjoyed it. And
I thought you came over. I thought you came over for one of those invitationals, the Monster Energy Invitational. I thought you did one of those.
No, I think I got asked one year, but I was back in Australia. This was a long time ago, but never got there. No.
Yeah, those events were cool. They were like an advantage for the American guys because of the small tracks, as well as them riding their own equipment, and the European riders didn't,
Yeah.
It was cool. Oh, here's Brock Nickel.
Yeah.
One of the best tracks in the USA.
That's
because he won. Because he won.
With one of the things with the bike giveaway that we're doing, we still don't know what the situation is with getting into the US and things like that, and if that's going to happen or not. But if that happens, giving the opportunity for those young riders to even just go and ride laps in America, I think is such a massive experience for them. There's people like yourself that haven't got to do that in your career, and we're sort of offering these young kids to do it. So
I believe you learn a lot over here. I think you learn a lot in Aussie as well. We have some interesting tracks. I can say so myself. I've spoken about this. Fast Fridays, weirdest track in the world, in my opinion. I mean, it's cool. It's fast. You have to keep your speed to go good around there. I mean, it's a paperclip track, so you got longer straights and very tight corners. you have something like Costa Mesa, which is a bull ring, you just keep on sliding the whole time. And you have something like Paris, which is a little bit of one of our bigger tracks. And it will be a little bit of it's on the slicker side, in my opinion. But you can develop a nice dirt line. We have a new track in Bakersfield that Steve Evans is promoting as well. Very interesting racing there too. It was a little bit smaller than Paris, but it has longer corners, and it's got DG and nice dirt line in it. So I think it's just going to go uphill from here. You can learn so much more throttle control but what we're missing is the big track advantage. You need to learn how to go that fast.
That new track is a bit bigger than your normal stuff, isn't it?
Bakersfield.
That looks more like it reminds me a little bit of Milton Hall.
Yes.
It seems that kind of shape. So
it's got some nice banking in it too.
Yeah, and Jerry will know Milton Hall's actually got a bit of banking on it as well. So it looks very similar to that. So
I believe Brock raced there too. I'll see what he says about that track.
And they got some pretty fast girls in America as well, haven't they, Wilbur?
Yes, they do. I believe what's her name? Sarah Cords decided for a Polish team.
Has she?
Like Ostrov or something like that. I'm quite sure. Let me check.
There you go.
I saw it the other day.
Your mum's commented again. Dad's got his pit pants ready. Too funny, but he needs a belt to hold him up now.
Yeah, I was having a conversation with the oldies the other day, it was at the point where we didn't know whether I'm going to run a farewell or anything. And I said, I had an idea where maybe if I don't do my last race here in England, that I might do one in Australia. Just not no big meet, just one of the club nights or something like that. And I'll let the old man push me off one last time. So I said to him, best get his knee pads out and get his gloves out. So, but he says he's very expensive these days. I've heard he's very expensive.
Yeah. So she signed for Ostrov Wilkobski, where I don't know how to say the last name, but that's who she signed for. So that could be interesting.
Cool. I remember everywhere. Your mum and dad used to come to the UK and travel everywhere with you. It was always like the three of you, or even and your brother as well used to be there as well a lot.
Yeah, well,
you don't see that much.
No, my brother helped me out one year when I think it was my dad had to go home for personal reasons, and they've all been part of it. We're a proper racing family, and you're seeing it now. With my both my nephews, and they're heavily into their racing now. Cameron with his go-karts, and Blake's now on the junior speedway bike. So I told Dad, I said, it's starting all over again. He says, no. He says, that's when Uncle Rory, when he comes home, that's when he's got to step up. So it looks like I could be maybe spannering when I get back to Australia. So
there you go. Wait, there's your job. Get charging. Here we go. Ben Trigger, one of the kids who's on the bike giveaway thing. He said he rode at Torren in 2019 on the 125s. It was a good experience. Got to ride the mini track.
They have a mini track as well. There's a mini track on the outside of the stadium.
I've never seen. Yeah, I've never seen the
my dad went there. My dad went there and practiced when the big track wasn't available. Like they drove all the way to Torren from Wrocław, which is a drive, I believe. So they drove all the way there, and then they got there and the track wasn't ready, and they were like, "Oh no, it's practice tomorrow." But he said, "But the mini track is ready to go." So they just geared up. The bike to make it do decent around a small track. And so him and Luke Becker both rode the super small track in Torren. It's cool.
It's hidden, it says, yeah. Did you ever ride at Exeter?
Yes, I did. I rode there 3 times, and I remember every time I rode there. A lot of people said, the fence is steel. The fence never scared me at all there. But every time we went, it was fast. But every time I went there, we broke something. Not from crashing. It was just so rough. We broke rear ends, or we broke diamonds, chain guards. It was so rough every time I went there. And I think the first time I went there, I didn't score a point from 4 rides. The next time I went there, I'd scored no points from my first 2 rides. And my old man said to me, "You're going to be walking home if you don't start scoring some points." And I went out my next 2 and won my last 2 races. And then the next time I went there, I think I only dropped 1 point. And I thought, that's it. I'm never coming back again. But then the following year, I think that's when they closed down or something. So it was one of them tracks that had something about it. I never really enjoyed riding it. It was so rough and bumpy, and I never felt at ease there, not once. I'm racing Simon Stevens, and I think Bomber was guessing there one night. I remember him chasing me back wheel. I just didn't want. I didn't want to be there.
Bomber was quick. Bomber was quick around there. I remember he was riding at Coventry, and for some reason, I don't know if it was. I think it could have been the Ivan Major thing they had there, or I can't remember what it was. It was some reason anyway, and Chris had turned up, and he was out for the track record, and he come off on the last bend on the last lap, and he was like nearly half a lap in front of everybody. He was flying, and we never got to find out.
You know what? I never wanted to go that fast around that joint. Nuh-uh. He can have it.
Yeah, I remember Simon always saying that, you know, there was a bump that was by the pit gate, and he used to hit that bump to wheelie then down the straight and then drop the front wheel into the corner, because if he went down it with both wheels on the floor, it was nearly impossible to ride.
Best way to describe it, Wilbur, is the closest you can get to riding a speedway bike over loops.
Oh,
you literally had to straddle, especially the ones on the back straight. You had to straddle like the bumps down the back straight, because if you didn't, you'd start. You know, both wheels would come off the ground. So you literally had to sort of straddle the bumps. You know, going down the back straight. And moving on.
Oh my goodness. Well, here we go. Brock's responded.
Bad memories already.
Okay, Brock's responded. When are you having your first ride of the year?
Well, I was guessing as long as this, when we come out of lockdown, I'm guessing in April, because I'm sure that we'll be able to have the tracks open in April. Obviously, no fans. Yeah. Hopefully.
I think you can have closed practice after the 29th of March.
Yeah, well,
So because you're professional athletes, I think you can.
Yeah, so that's what we'll probably be doing. So, yeah, Brock, if you're interested, we'll go halvesies.
And you're going to be meeting Crumpy quite a few times this season, doing both leagues, since you're both doing both leagues. How do you feel about that?
I think my first meetings against him. When I heard it, I was like, you know, like I had a different feeling when I raced Jason last year in the British final, because the last time I raced him, obviously, was back, you know, when he retired the first time. So when I was just watching, it was at Ipswich, and I went out and watched him, and I was like, I used to love, especially in the Australian Championship, used to love going out with Lee and Jason. I'd make it a purpose to go out with them, so I knew I had what gauge, use them as a gauge, whether I'm off the pace or whatever. I used to start. They would start, and then I'd follow him. And I did that. I can't remember. Did I do it at the British final? I think I went out with him. But I'm looking forward to it. I really am. A guy who I looked up to as a kid, always wanted to beat. When I got to that stage, when, you know, I still looked up to him, but I was at that stage where I need to start looking at it. You know, I can beat this guy. And I don't think that changes now, you know. But, you know, Jason will be the same. He's like he said, he wants to be competitive. He wants to win races. But it'll definitely make the Plymouth versus Poole legs very interesting.
Derbies. See if there's anybody fighting in the crowds. They won't. They won't be. Yeah. So what do you think to the Plymouth team?
Well, he's gone all out, hasn't he? Oh, should call him the Speedway version of Chelsea Football Club. What do you reckon?
Man City, isn't it? Is that what people are saying?
Chelsea did it first, but no. Look, I think it's great. Let's just be realistic. To see these guys back in the, in British Speedway racing is only a plus. It'll make Plymouth very, very attractive and very competitive. It's a track. I've never been to it, but I know it's a tricky, small track. So it's going to be a track where they'll probably try and make it, very, very strong at home. More the merrier. I think it's great that we're seeing some of these guys come back and race, and it's only going to put more bums on seats.
For sure.
Exactly. I agree with you.
I take my hat off to Mark Phillips. He's putting it out there for sure, and I hope it pays off for him. Because there's a lot of people that play it safe, and like I said to him, my honest opinion was, if you can't pull in a crowd with that caliber of riders, then you're never going to.
Yeah, I think you're right. But you've got to market it well and pull all the strings.
He's doing so much. He's doing so much. We're going through everything to try and to make it the best it possibly can be this year. Hopefully, it be a completely different experience to Speedway. If everything all happens, it's going to be hopefully good in lots of ways, not just the riding.
Just don't get upset, Jerry, if we turn these over first meeting of the year.
Yes. We'll see. Let your tyres down.
That's funny.
Cool. We'll be sweet. Right, so Gary's put here, some bikes seem much faster than others. Is that just a bike setups, or is that different engine tuners?
Both in ways. If we go down tuners, a few years there, Johnsy was the guy to have. I see like Kowalski, sort of like the guy. There doesn't seem to be at the minute. I think everyone's almost on a level playing field. When it comes to, especially at the top, I think they're all muchness where they haven't, the engines aren't better. It just depends on what the rider prefers and likes. Now, setups is probably the biggest key, especially in Poland. I've found you need power. We know that. And I think majority of the top tuners now produce power. At times they're producing too much power in certain ways. But setup is key, because I think now that we are producing that much power, riders are now struggling to put the power on the ground. I think the guys who have not the smartest rider, but has the people in the background who can observe, them on a bike and can hear what's going on, they're the guys that do get that advantage. I think I think Smarzlik with his dad and his relationship with his mechanics work really well. I think Emil with Susie is, you always see them. They're always competitive. Like start of the season last year, Emil was dynamite. These guys, you have to go back to the years of when Tony had Carl Blomfeld. As soon as Tony got rid of him, Thomas wanted him, then Lee Adams wanted him. So I think that's very important, is if you want to call him your chief mechanic, but your guy who you can rely on, who gives you that feedback. Sometimes as a rider, you can't quite, was I not? I think that's very important, especially in the Grand Prix.
Yeah.
I think I said this last week. I remember meeting Tony Rickardson at Somerset years ago, and he said something about bike setup and stuff like that. And he said, the person who can come in and say what's wrong, some people go out there and they'll go flat out and they just pin it for 4 laps. Somebody like Ben Barker, who's just going to nail it, he might not necessarily be able to come in and go, oh, it's spinning because of this or that, or we need to do this. But those riders that know exactly why it's doing what it's doing at that precise moment, if you know what I mean, some people can just tell, they've got so much time on the bike, they just know. And he said it's those people that can sort their setups up real quick are the ones that will do sort of well.
Yeah, I think I was speaking to my dad about this, like Smarslick, right? Smarslick knows every single millimeter on his bike. He rides that thing so much, and imagine how many laps he's put in on that bike, for example, when he was on the back fender, passing Tide down the back straight at Prague, where sometimes that track is only a dirt line, and he went in there and he just kind of flicked it a little bit too hard, and he knows that, oh, I've been here before. I know exactly what to do. It's the same thing with finding mechanical issues on your bike, in my opinion.
Yeah, his knowledge on, because he never was that, you look at his earlier photos, when he was younger, he never rode like that. So over that period of time, he's been able to get a setup, how he likes his seats, how his bike reacts off the corner. The guys hanging off the back of the bike coming off the corner. I did that. I'd be on my backside, not but I ride differently. I'm more of a front wheel rider, so I like the bike to, be a little bit more aggressive, and I hang over the front a bit more, where Smarslick seems to be able to just lay on the thing and it not get away from him. I think he uses the smaller diamonds as well. So he just has that ability and his confidence in the bike. And again, that's from using different setups, trying different things.
Putting in the hours that you need to.
Yeah. And, some of them photos, I think I shared a photo last year when he was hitting the fence at Gorzoff, and I just thought, it's just insane. It's so good to watch.
Yeah, exactly.
So we got here a guy, Brian's put the link up for Rory's film that he made a few years ago. Have you got that, Rory?
Yeah, I've got that. Well, I haven't got the link, but yeah, it's just some short. It's a documentary on some short episodes of when I broke my back and just how my road back to racing. So I did that with a guy I met, through an energy drink company and stuff like that. So it just gives you a little insight into what you go through coming back from a serious injury.
That's cool.
If you find that video, send it over to us. I'll share it on the chat show.
I believe I have it right here. Give me 1 second.
Addicted to Speed, it's called.
Addicted to Speed.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, we'll post that maybe tomorrow or Friday, and get it back out there. I've not seen that, so I'll have a look myself. So yeah. So you haven't got no racing on the continent this year at all?
No, just I as much as I'd enjoy it, it's a big investment, and you got to commit to it. And just like last year, the year before, I enjoyed just doing the 2 leagues. I think, Wilbur, you see what goes into having to race in Poland and Sweden. It's different to racing in England. The cost and the draining, like mental drain of like getting things ready before you even go there, is immense. And I wanted to enjoy my last year, and just being in England and just enjoying it there was enough for me. So. I haven't ruled out maybe doing a 1 or 2 broad open meetings. I sort of have an agreement with Vito at Woods that, if he'd like me to return to do, he does a big meeting at the end of the year, I might come back and do that, one last time at Woods. I've got a really good relationship there with everyone there at the club, and a real good relationship with the fans there as well.
Exactly.
Cool. William Cairns has put, what do you think to the smaller diamonds? How do they ride different?
I've never tried one. I've sat on, I think I sat on Kenneth, but I feel like I'm back on a junior bike, if I'm honest. I'm quite lanky, so Not ideal for me anyway.
Kenneth's quite small though, isn't he?
Yeah, but we don't talk about that. We don't like us talking about that.
I remember he came to Trelawney. Was it Trelawney? Yeah, I think it was. He came to Trelawney, and he used to have that massive mechanic. Do you remember when he first came over?
From Newcastle? Yeah, I can't remember his name. Yeah,
absolute unit, and I think he pissed him off or something. I don't know what happened, but he came in and there was like a bit of a commotion in the pits. And his mechanic picked the bike up and just threw it. Like literally just dominoed a load of bikes in the pits. And he was just like, all right, yeah, we'll leave that guy alone. Is there going to be a Rory Schlein book when you finish racing?
Oh, I've actually been asked by a few people to do one. People obviously know I'm quite outspoken and say it as it is, but yeah, I have quite a few stories, that would open up a few can of worms. But I don't know. I've never really. I've joked around about it, but I don't know whether it'd be something that I'd like to do. I've just more or less joked around about it. Imagine if I wrote a book with the stories and the stuff I know that's gone on in Speedway. Yeah. So,
what have you got to do when you sat at home in Australia and you got your fucking camper trailer?
Yeah, you never know. I might do something. I might do something when I'm the novelty's worn off and I want to dip my toe back into the industry. You never know.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Are you going to come back out of retirement 8 years later like Crumpy did?
Hell no. Hell no. No, the only time you'll see, I'm going to stay involved with the Team GB. We'll hopefully, once everything's go back to normal, we get the guys coming out to Australia for tours and stuff like that. So I'm still going to be involved in that way, looking after the guys when they come out to Australia. So, I won't completely disappear, that's for sure.
Cool.
For sure.
All right, bud. Well, we've just gone over the hour. So thanks very much for coming on. It's always been a pleasure to have you on, and we'll definitely get some stuff when you're down at Plymouth.
It's getting past my bedtime now, Jerry.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I'm getting old. All right, bud. Thanks very much for coming on, and we'll speak to you soon during the season, and we'll get you on again and see how it's all going and promote your farewell meeting.
Yes, yeah, and remember, it is a farewell, so the farewell means no more after that.
Gone. That's it.
That might be a possibility. Who knows?
Yeah. Did Crumpy ever have a farewell?
No.
He didn't, did he? He did.
No, he didn't. Sorry. It's good though. Like I'm going to ask him to write in mine now.
Yeah.
I haven't asked him yet. So if you're listening, Crumpy, I want you to do my farewells.
I'm sure he will. He'll just want playing a lot. All right, bud. We'll speak to you soon. If you stay in the background, we'll talk to you after the show.
Yeah, mate. No worries.
Yes. So, yeah. Wow, that was a good show. I like that one. It was interesting listening to Rory. Rory's always talks his opinion, and it was a good insight to what he's up to. And I think everyone. He's had, I think, 20-year career. So, let's get behind him if he gets his farewell, and we should all go and support him and send him off in fine fashion. Fine fashion. What's funny about that, Wilbur?
No, I just thought it was funny.
Oh, right. Okay. So, next week's show is going to be a good one. I know this for sure because I know Wilbur and Luke are very good, very close. And I've spoke to Luke already, and he's got some good stories on Wilbur. So
I got some good stories on him. Don't worry. Don't.
So there we go. So it's going to be a battle.
It's probably going to turn into a roast battle more than anything. We'll come up with a couple of funny games. Not going to lie. This will be cool. I'm excited for this.
I'm excited for this. I'm just going to sit back and watch you two bitch at each other.
That's exactly what's going to happen. That's it. It happens just in person. I'll just sit here and I'm like, you're short. And he's like, okay, you're tall. I'm like, you're ugly. And he's like, cool. It's just back and forth. That's how it goes.
Brilliant. Yes, I'm really looking forward to that. I just want to say a massive thanks to all the guys that have helped out this week. We are well and truly on the way to give these young riders, well, one of the young riders, an amazing opportunity of getting them, a foot on the ladder of getting their professional careers underway. So really appreciate Ren Truck, Foxy Products, Grant Henderson, Ashtec, GM Engines, and Matt Sewell as well, the polishing guy. Been on the phone to him. He's sorting out a load of parts for us and possibly sorting some wheels. He's sourcing some wheels, so we've got to find some more money for that. But yeah, we could. He's a really good guy. He's helped out a lot. So yeah, everyone, we'll see you next Wednesday.
Adios.
See ya.